The Spiral, Chapter 15. After the feast. The feasting and dancing and merriment ended at Q. Elder Toro motioned for Ira's grandpa to speak. Grandpa began with his difficulty to sleep of late. There were groanings and moaning of the earth. An earthquake had occurred when he was 6, but it was to the north. This time the groanings came from much nearer. He had just been up to the head of the Sargon. He came down sad. Trees were felled right up to the edge of the river, and big companies had hauled the logs down the hill. Hardly were the scars made by the big vehicles covered up, new ones took their place. In some places, nothing good grew except for coarse grass. Sheep and goats had to look further away from the village. Quarrels broke out among villages. Children were warned to keep away from the hills as bears and wild monkeys roamed nearer and nearer to villages. Grandpa shook his head and wagged his finger as he recalled a recent dream he had. The earth trembled and cracks appeared in the kitchen floor. Then the walls and the roof had cracks. He was swaying and he held on to the table. Then it stopped. Out of the cracks came the black mist, but with a putrid smell. He gasped for air and looked to the veiled one. At least before he was taken away, he would call on the veiled one once more. He reminded the veiled one of the ancient promise. He wrapped his shawl around his nose and mouth and knelt down. His frantic coughs woke him up. Quietly, he gave thanks. Grandpa ended his sharing with eyes lifted up. Bata wanted to barge in with his news, but a picture given by the hunter to Elder Toro stopped him. Here was something more urgent. All eyes were on the light bearer as they noticed the emblem on his collar. The light bearers sensed they wanted something from him. Was it time to release his message or he had to wait? Soon it was clear they looked to him to kill the wolf. As he pondered and waited, Elder Toro spoke of their fear and the recent failure to kill the wolf. Was this a part of his mission? The knot of resentment became harder as the memory of that day rose. He wondered how much further needed he go to help them. It was sufficient that he released his message to them. Then, among the many faces, a face presented itself through the beaded curtain. He was sure it was her, for his heart raced before it fully saw. Bata noted the glance, but pushed it to the back of his mind, for he would not miss a word if the light bearer spoke. But the light bearer asked for time. That night, the light bearer closed his eyes and waited. In the stillness, he waited. Ever so gently, he felt the stirrings in his heart, and the seeds of light alighted. His mind caught them, and a plan unfolded. When the morning broke into the valley, Ira was at Elder Toro's house to hear of any good news. Bata arrived first from the fences with feet like a gazelle. Before the breakfast of cornbread and stew was set on the table, Elder Toro ushered the light bearer to the main hall, with his palm facing up and then flat against his heart. He uttered the village greeting to the light bearer, who likewise answered him. He had barred everyone from entering before breakfast was over.